2002. Such a big year for a lot of things happening. Spider-Man has entered into the big screen. Xbox Live has been invented. A little Hawaiian girl befriended an alien. The Winter Olympics. Your basic average girl who's here to save the world has graced the silver screen. But nothing compares to what we're talking about right now. Hello, John Snoodler Bostic here once again, and I'm here to talk about a lost piece of media that we thought would never be found again. A live show. No, not that one. Not that one. Nope, not that one. Behold, the original VeggieTales live on stage show. But how could this be? How is this possible? We thought we would never see this except for a small glimpse of it in a bonus feature in the Josh the Big Wall DVD. Well, that's where my good friend Finn comes in. If you don't know who Finn is, he used to run the ultimate unofficial VeggieTales channel. Now, while the information of how he got this live show on an 8mm tape remains hush-hush and will never be revealed, all of us fans are glad, including myself, that the live show is now in the public for everyone to see. Sit back and enjoy as I review VeggieTales live on stage. Now let's get to the plot. We start off with Marcy, the human stage manager, who, after she lays down the rules, we get a back and forth conversation between the French Peas and Marcy on what kind of show the Peas came to see, mistaking it with Gone with the Wind on ice. And having the audience responding to the characters was a nice gimmick to the show, too. You could clearly tell Phil and Mike had a blast writing this while trying to make themselves laugh as well. Following with a video screen displaying the original VeggieTales theme song, followed by a countertop segment with Bob and Larry, which it clearly looks like it was animated around the same time Jonah and Overboard Adventures was being animated as well. Then Bob acknowledges the fact that there is a lot more people than 8 or 9, more than can fit a whole living room. With Larry mistaking it for a swap meet, Bob exclaims in excitement that they are in a live stage show, leading it to their first number called What a Sight. And what a sight indeed. The song expresses how ecstatic and exhilarated Bob is about being in front of a live audience, accompanied with a pea band and dancers dressed as vegetables. They even have a bacon character in there as well, foreshadowing Bacon Bill, I see. And that was 13 years before VeggieTales in the House / City came out. I really do love Phil's performance in this song. You could really tell he had a blast doing this song. And I especially love the references to some of the classic VeggieTales songs into the score. God is Bigger, the original theme song itself, and Love Your Neighbor. Then, after the song ends, both Bob and Marcy discover that Larry is missing, and everyone is in a mad panic looking for him. Suddenly, 2 doors appear that are not part of the show. To go search for Larry, both Marcy and Bob go into door number 2, while at the same time, Larry appears, wondering where Bob is. He goes into door number 1 to go search for him. I absolutely love how the audience went nuts when Bob and Larry first appeared. Probably because they've never seen a walking, talking vegetable live in front of them before. Maybe. I don't know. Then we segue onto our first story, which is a live adaptation of Dave and the Giant Pickle. And if you know the plot of the episode, or the original Bible story found in 1 Samuel chapter 7, then you know it well. A little shepherd boy named Dave wants to prove himself, but gets teased and put down by his brothers because he is too young. But then, when the Israelites are too afraid to face their larger-than-life champion named Goliath, it's up to Dave to take down the Giant Pickle. A few things to acknowledge here. I love the new song that was written specifically for this live show called I'm Dave, and the sheep were really cute and enjoyable. I guess Phil Vischer was right when he said that the sheep stole stole the show. And I also love the fact that when both Bob and Marcy ask Dave who he is, and just as Dave is about to sing the song again, Jean-Claude Dupuis cuts him off before he starts and just tells Bob bluntly that his name is Dave and he's got sheep. All he needs to know. I wonder if Dupuis' roles in this live show are very similar to Statler and Waldorf from The Muppet Show. Wouldn't be a surprise since both Phil and Mike are huge Jim Henson fans. Although something that felt really odd was that Marcy asked the audience on what Bible story they're in, meaning that she knows the story well. Yet when Dave boldly volunteers to fight Goliath, she protests, saying to Dave that it's a bad idea. Weird. I wonder if Phil and Mike ever caught that while writing this script. I did love that in the big fight scene, Marcy goes to narrate the fight like a real wrestling match. It sounded like she had so much fun doing that, and the rock hitting Goliath's head, absolutely hysterical. Then, in the middle of the segment, we get a live rendition of the Water Buffalo song, which, nothing much to say really, except that Larry's not wearing his oversized cowboy hat. Could be due to the fact that the performer inside the Larry costume can't see and that the hat will feel cumbersome, or in this case, cucumbersome. Then after that segment, we get into the second half of the live show, still wondering where Bob and Larry are. Following with the French Peas complaining about, despite the fact that they were stars in the last segment, they didn't have any merchandise dedicated to them. Following with Marcy telling them that despite the disappearance of Bob and Larry, the next number involving a Bavarian dance number with 27 Brussels sprouts saying Lederhosen should make up for it. Honestly, I would pay big money to go see that. Then eventually, Marcy enters to door number 1. And in door number 1, not only she finds Larry, but both Marcy and Larry find themselves in the story of Josh and the Big Wall. And again, if you know the plot of the episode, or the original Bible story found in Joshua chapters 1 through 6, then you know it well. After wandering in the desert for 40 years, Josh and the Israelites are finally going to the Promised Land. But one problem though, they can't go to the Promised Land without going through Jericho first. God gives Joshua specific, albeit strange, instructions. March around the city once for 7 days, blowing horns and shouting. The Israelites must decide to either follow God's unusual plan or their own ideas for getting past the annoying French pea guards who are guarding the wall. In the end, the Israelites obey God's directions, and the walls finally came tumbling down. Some things I like to point out. The recap where they explain how the Israelites were originally led by Moses and now they have Josh as their new leader is placed right after the Promised Land song, not before it. And that this time, instead of Junior straightening the Israelites up, it's Marcy who has to correct the Israelites, since Junior is now an Israelite in this version. And that after the Israelites shouted, the Peas have some dialogue after that, which didn't happen in the original episode, if you remember. And also, in the middle of this segment, we get a rendition of I Love My Lips. A few things to point out is that Larry is not lying on the couch, which is understandable. Why? Because that means you'll have to reveal the performer's feet. Then after that, Bob and Larry finally reunite with each other, prompting them to burst into song, which is A Friend is a Friend. I really love that during the song, there is a montage playing behind them, and that the Peas get their revenge on both Bob and Larry by starting the What Have We Learned song. Then they lead with a recap of both episodes' lessons, queuing up a screen of QWERTY displaying the Bible verse, Proverbs 17:17. A good friend loves at all times. He is there to help in times of need. Which Dewey used a different translation of that same verse in a later VeggieTales episode called Sherlock Holmes and the Golden Ruler. Fun fact, in the first draft of the script, QWERTY was going to be a prop in the live show, but somehow that didn't fall through for some reason. Then we end up with the Broadway version of the theme song, which has everyone, including all the veggies, Marcy, dancers, and yes, even the bacon guy, doing a curtain call. Alright, so far, I really love the story. I especially love how they used the framework of separating Bob and Larry into two different doors. The French peas were really entertaining. It was just a fresh and brilliant take on both classic episodes. My only nitpick about this live show is at the end, it's implied that the whole lesson was about friendship and that it's good to be friends, which I was not getting at all in this live show. Like with the two previous stories, it didn't line up on the lesson of what it means to be a good friend. I don't know. It just felt like they needed to somehow incorporate the lesson in the beginning of the live show. Like say if Bob and Larry had an argument at the beginning of the show before What a Sight plays. And while both Bob and Larry learns to be better friends with the lessons they learn in these two stories. I don't know. It sounds like I'm making a big deal out of nothing. But hey, at least it wasn't as bad as Autotainment. On the whole, didn't have a lesson at the start of the story and shoehorned a lesson at the end type of situation. For now, the plot gets a 9 out of 10. Great, now that we got that taken care of, let's talk about the music. Let's start with the songs first. The original VeggieTales theme song. Nothing much to say, it's just the original theme song. What a Sight. This song is purely a bop. Love the tune and its Broadway-esque sound to it. I'm Dave. It's cute. I love the sheeps dancing. Big Things too. The first half was it's just there. But the second half with Marcy and King Saul, still a headbanger. The Water Buffalo song, and I Love My Lips. Yeah, not much to say except they hardly changed the instrumentals for the Love My Lips song, except for a few faintly heard violins. The Promised Land. Love the choreography of the song. It definitely gives a real Be Our Guest vibes from Beauty and the Beast. One thing I would like to point out is that originally, Marcy was supposed to be behind the cake wearing a Carmen Miranda whipped cream kind of hat. But that didn't happen. The Lord Has Given. Nice tune. I especially liked the second half where Marcy got to sing. She did a beautiful version of this song. A Friend is a Friend. Love this song. Fun fact, it never crossed my mind that this song originated from this specific live show. I thought this song was only exclusive to the sing-along albums. What have we learned? I love the ending where they decided to do a Broadway version of the song. Very, very good laugh out loud surprise moment. For me personally, at least. The Broadway version of the VeggieTales theme song. Absolutely fantastic. What a way to end a live show. Also, I didn't know that this specific version of the theme song was in this live show as well. Overall, I give the songs an 8 out of 10. And here's my ranking on all of them. Yep. Oh, and also before I move away from the music section of this video, all of the music arrangements, orchestrations, and all the additional score was all done by a new composer named Christopher Davis, who would later on work on some other projects in 2002, like the Cartoon Adventures of Larry Boy, all the sing-along albums, and the score for the Star of Christmas episode. And the reason why was because during that time, Kurt Heineke was busy working on the score for the Jonah movie along with Phil Vischer. And so that leads to Christopher Davis handling all of the score for this live show, which was his first ever project, fun fact. And I say he did a fantastic job on this score and all the arrangements for the songs as well too. The rearrangements, I mean. Oh, one thing I like to point out is that at the beginning of the song, What a Sight, it sounds very, very similar to the Columbia Pictures logo. So that was interesting. And that originally, the end of the song had some additional lyrics like, though he's gifted and brave, there is nothing more scary than to put on a show without his buddy Larry. Something like that. I apologize for my bad singing. Alright, now on to the fun facts about this live show. So the first fact that I'll mention is that according to Phil Vischer's book, Me, Myself, and Bob, a true story about God, dreams, and talking vegetables, Phil explains that while the show was a success, it did lose a lot of money due to the elaborate sets and oversized props, filling out 4 semi-trucks instead of the typical 2. And even Vischer mentioned that the show was downsized as it toured on the road, hence why they ditched the cowboy hat, therapist couch, etc., and Ketra. And that all of the characters' costumes were all designed by a guy named Michael Curry, who you might know him best as the guy who designed all of the puppets for the Lion King on Broadway show. And that the original draft of the script, the French piece had some dialogue at the end of the show, and that this is the only live show to recreate past stories, whereas the later live shows were just song compilations, which is a shame, because I would like to see what other VeggieTales episodes would make for great live recreations like Sumo of the Opera, or Gideon Tuba Warrior, or even Sherlock Holmes. Imagine that. And that this was the only one to have both Phil and Mike as writers on the live show, and that the show was going to return for a tour in 2004, according to the website, but that fell through following Classic Media purchasing the assets of Big Idea's bankruptcy and Clear Channel's 2-year deal with the license lapsing. Alright, now we get to the conclusion. Overall, I loved it. It was well made, catchy songs, great jokes. If you are a theater and Broadway fan, this show's for you. If you love VeggieTales, then this show's for you. Thanks for everybody who performed and made this show. Thank you, Finn, for uploading the live show. Thank you, Julie, who played the role of Marcy and did a bang-up job. All finished with this review. Always remember, God made you special, and He loves you very much. This is John Snoodler Bosick signing out. Oh, also, before I get going, a huge shout out to my good friend P Shooter 2000. He was the one who redesigned the thumbnail for this video. Go subscribe to his stuff. His stuff is amazing. He's currently working on the Why I Love VeggieTales series, where he's reviewing every VeggieTales episode ever, including the bonus episodes. So yeah, subscribe to his stuff. Thank you all for watching. Until next time.